Hey, what's up, North County? I'm your host, Randy Doty, and today we are talking cybersecurity with Kelly Reeves, Miss Defense.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, you do a lot of different things. I mean,
Yeah.
you copyright.
Well, I copyright for cybersecurity companies, so that it kind of parlays into that.
So this, you always hear, you always see it in the news. You always see like phone calls, like this time of the year, you got the police calling in, you got fire department. You got all these different agencies calling and asking for donations.
Yeah.
The end of the year. And, are more, is there an age group that is more, I say gullible because it is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Is it an age group that's more gullible than others, or is everybody across the board at risk?
But I think more susceptible would be
okay.
a better, because yes, maybe they are gullible just because, and it's the age group would be kind of the older, like 65 and up, that aren't super tech savvy, number one. Two, they don't tend to use their computers. They rely on kind of old school methodologies. So typically those are the ones that are most often prey to online predators, whether it's false fundraising or ID theft, identity theft. So the older generation is typically more targeted than, say, the younger that's more tech savvy, that's kind of more, they'll have more of the security protocols put into place. So like I know, like with my dad, for example, he's kind of a freak about it. Like, I don't want to buy anything online because he's afraid. But he has to do it. So I just say, okay, well, you have your antivirus, you have this, do you have that? Have fraud detection on your credit cards. So, but there is the increased charity activity this time of year because one, end of year fundraising, end of year giving, because people are like, oh, they'll get their tax write-off. And it's the season of giving. People are feeling, well, I want to give back and whatever. And so I know with the animal rescue I co-founded, we have a huge uptick in donations. So, but you got to be careful because there are fake charities and people will say, oh, help kids with cancer that are dying in the street, and people, bleeding hearts, they want to help. And it's the season and they think, oh, I'm going to get this tax write-off too. So then they find out it's a scam, but they've sent their money. So anybody can fall prey, but I would say the older generation is definitely more susceptible.
So Kelly, how do you get into this? Let's take a step back in time. Because you also teach like weapons and shooting and carry, California carry.
Yeah.
You do a lot of stuff in the arms side.
Yeah.
Not only that, you also have like what do you call that? So it's not guns, but it would be like tasers and pepper spray.
Like non-lethal self-defense.
Non-lethal.
Yeah.
So, but how do you get into something like cybersecurity? Because this seems so techy to where you don't even know what's real or fake anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not something that's brand new. This has been going on for, years. I just think now that it's getting better.
It's definitely getting better. So I owned a tech PR agency for 20 years. So I already had that natural progression into technology and cybersecurity because I worked with some cybersecurity companies when I had my tech PR agency. And then when I closed that and I just started doing writing for them because they were like, well, not a lot of people can write about complex concepts like cybersecurity and IT. So, and then when I started Ms. Defense, and it was more on the firearms and physical side, but it kind of seemed like a natural progression to add the cybersecurity component into it because it's a holistic approach to security and safety. So there's online safety and offline safety on the streets. So you can be just as much a victim online as you can offline. So I decided to fold that into the whole Ms. Defense, I guess, offerings of services because, and especially, as I told you earlier, my big thing when it comes to online is child online safety with all the child online predators and sextortion and cyberbullying. That's a big thing to me and I'm super passionate about it. So it just seemed natural to kind of fold that in just because I do have knowledge of it. And I know people are victims of cyber theft, of hacking, of identity theft. And it can be just as debilitating and it's traumatic as a physical attack.
What are the bigger ones? Well, what's the biggest, like your phishings, your, like you said, your credit cards? That I'm always leery when I go to the pumps when I use my credit cards. You know, they always teach, or they say, look for that little tag or that little sticker. And I'm thinking, okay, and now that I'm saying this out loud, it's like, who's to say that the people that just switch this out don't have their own fake little stickers to put back up there? You know.
Yeah, I mean, people they're sneaky, and you know, I was saying to you earlier, you know, retailers this holiday season, 52% are concerned about cyber breaches, and that's the retailers. That's not you at your computer on Amazon or whatever. That's you going to the physical store and buying something, swiping your card or tapping or whatever, and now you're having to trust whoever that is to have the right cybersecurity protocols to have all of that information that they're now storing in their database to keep it from being stolen.
Oh, that's a whole new element.
Yeah. So when you go to like even those little boutiques like around, you know, downtown Paso, and they have those like square point of service, like what security protocols do they have when you swipe your card? So it's not just online that you can be a victim if you click the wrong link or whatever. If somebody bigger, like big box, like if a Walmart gets a breach, then all that credit card information that's stored could be stolen.
And then there's another one which we just came across the news like 3 or 4 weeks ago, was a Venmo scam, which was a scam that somebody would send you money. Somebody evidently, I don't know how they get a number that you know, and it's like, oh, it's my sister or whatever. They're like, oh, I accidentally just sent you $50, but it was, you know, it was supposed to be only 25 or 10, you know, send me back. And it's this whole scam that goes, how does all this happen?
You know, there is just cyber criminals are getting sneakier and sneakier. And then, you know, and especially with like AI and deepfake technology, where they can pretend to be somebody else. And deepfake, there was actually a big story, and it's more on the corporate side, but it does happen on the consumer side. But and it was in Canada, where someone pretended to be the CFO of a company and nailed his voice and his look and everything. And I think they scammed $25 million out of the company.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's serious. I mean, but I have a friend who's actually a tech reporter. Somebody deep faked his wife's voice and spoofed her phone number, called him, and it looked like it was from her phone number with her voice saying she'd been kidnapped and they need money, like a ransom. And he was smart enough, because he worked in tech, to realize like, okay, this doesn't seem right. So he called his daughter, who was like, you know, can you call your mom, because they called my phone. I don't want to return the call. So it's like, she's like, oh no, I'm fine. So.
So Kelly, I mean, is that stuff that, I mean, do you know how does somebody get a phone number and somehow mask it, like, to look like it's somebody that you know calling? So do they have to have your phone book registry in order to call?
No, I mean, it's so easy to get public information. Like you could go into, like you can go into Google. You can pull up a list of all these phone numbers, and they go, okay, here's a list of phone numbers. Then you can look up, who does this phone number belong to? I mean, it's all right there. Nothing is private anymore, and that's the scariest part. So I'll get a call from an unknown number, and I can type in that number in Google, and it will come up, and it'll give me all the names associated with that number.
I do that, like, you know, I mean, as we all do. You know, we see a number, we're like, I'm not answering that one. You know, but I, if I'm at the office, I'll jump on there and type it in real quick. And it's like, oh, I should probably answer this. You know, or it will say, you know, it doesn't even say anything. Or my phone might even say scam. Sometimes it's actually not a scam. They just think it's a scam. But I think anybody that calls me is a scam at this point. And there's no way to really to tell the difference that it's not.
It's hard, you know, and that's the thing, and it's just, that's, you know, like going back to self-defense, it's just hypervigilance and just being aware, and, you know, and trusting your gut too. If it doesn't seem right, like my friend with his wife, he's like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. And it turned out his wife had not been kidnapped, and he's not sending money anywhere. But it's really easy today, and these technologies are pretty sophisticated, and the people that use them, you know, they know what they're doing. And so, and it's not hard to find that information.
What are some of the protections that people have against cyber security criminals? I mean, what is there anything that, like on my phone, is there anything that I can put there to protect me from from these guys?
Yeah, but I hate to say it, they're always like 10 steps ahead. And that's the thing, like in the corporate cybersecurity world, it's just a never-ending battle because you can have your antivirus and your firewalls, and if your parents, your parental controls, but they're always going to find some workaround or some way around it. So, and that's not saying to not do it because it's better than nothing. But you can have, like on my phone, I have a phone spam app where if it's a number I don't recognize, it comes up as spam, automatically gets dumped into my voicemail. And if it's somebody legit, then they'll leave an actual voicemail. If it's not, then they won't. So, but knowing, like with your text, if you get a text that says, it's really like a lot of it, the biggest part is awareness, is if you get a text that says, oh, this is the United States Postal Service, we are trying to deliver a package.
Yep.
So,
I get that all the time.
Like, click on this link, and you just have to know that that's not legit.
So what happens when they click on that link? Because it does go somewhere,
yeah.
But what happens?
So if you do it from your computer, it could be a virus link that spreads into your computer. But usually they're just trying to get sometimes just your information. So it's like, click on this link and update your address. So now they've got your updated address that is linked to your credit cards or bank information. So they can kind of take that ball and run with it.
And it's so interesting because you always see, like on Facebook, oh, I got hacked. Mm-hmm. I got a lot of people. I got hacked again.
Yeah.
It's like, what did you do the first time? But it's something to do with a click, right?
Yeah.
And somehow
that's why I say click on nothing.
Yeah, I mean, if it starts with like a VSLK, ... and but it's a blue link, and somebody says, hey, click on this, you can win a free pie from, whatever, and people do. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I get a text message or a message that says, hey, so-and-so wants to be your friend. I already know they're my friend.
Right.
But yet people keep doing that.
Yeah.
And so right when they click on that is somehow pulls their passwords and their logins from Facebook. Is that what happens?
Yep. So and there's different ways of what is called social engineering in the cybersecurity world, in that somebody will send you a link, and it looks like they're from a legitimate source, like somebody on your friends list. And I always can tell because it's like, hey, check out this video of you. And so then I'll go to the person, say, it looks like it's coming from you. I'll text you to your phone and say, did you just send me this link? No, shut up, shoot. I've been hacked, sorry.
Right.
So, and then, usually people will do a post like, don't open anything for me, I've been hacked. So, and then you have to report it to Facebook, but good luck with that because it goes into some void.
Into La La Land.
So, because I've had people who, that's kind of the easy one to get your, like, if it's only like your username and password, which is why I'm always big on multi-factor authentication. So if somebody does take your username and password and they try to log in again, you're going to get that text or email with a code, and then you know that somebody has tried to hack into your account. Like I had one friend who they were actually to get in and completely change anything. So any MFA she had set up was going to go to them anyway, and they just shut down. She had like years of photos and all this stuff, and I think it took about 2.5 years to get all of her stuff back from Facebook.
How come Facebook, because this isn't like randomly, like it might happen here, this is happening like daily.
Yeah.
And we're just in a small little community, and you see Facebook hacking, you hear people, oh, my Facebook account got hacked, I had to start another one because I couldn't get it back. How come Facebook, Mark, what's he doing?
Right,
he should be on our side, right?
He should,
There should be something that we could be like, hey, this is valid, this is us, we've lost access to it, but how come?
That's a great question. I'm like, how does a billion-dollar tech company not have certain protocols in place to prevent this? But the challenge is they're also trying to keep up with people. And it's so easy to create a Facebook account. So I was a victim of a scam through my animal rescue. I was doing a fundraiser for Paw Prints in the Sand, and this was a couple years ago, and someone set up a whole new account with my name, my profile picture, and so people would trust it. And they were private messaging people and saying, hey, we're trying to get Amazon gift cards for our fosters, can you donate? And And they were so poorly written, though.
Right, and that's usually
that
used to be
my
one.
friends knew, like, oh, Kelly would never write anything this poorly.
Right.
So I started getting all these messages like, did you actually send me this? And I was like, oh my gosh, no. So then they sent me the link to, I mean, it was my exact profile picture. It was my name. They took everything that they could from my profile to set up a whole new profile. So I reported it, shut it down. They set up another one, and I reported it and shut it. And then I was like all over the fundraiser, like, don't do anything with Amazon gift cards. That's not me. And it actually came up as a memory the other day that I posted. I'm like, this is still a reality that we face these days, that there's online scammers and they're using a nonprofit to take advantage of people's love for animals or whatever to get money. And it's those are, people where karma is going to really get them, I think.
Yeah, but really, is it? Because it's like, it seems like it happens so often, and it's not even necessarily has to be like where they're wanting you to have money. It's almost like like you said, an identity to where it's a trusted community person, and now they've been hacked, and they're, pleading for, something, or, it might even, it could be anything.
Yeah.
But then you have your trusted identity, like you said, a picture. Oh, this is Kelly, and so she wouldn't, do this. Everything looks legit. There's her address. And they even have pictures, like your whole profile is like completely duplicated.
Yep. But thankfully, they were very bad writers. So everybody knew, like, you would never write anything this terrible. So that was the key giveaway. And I thank my friends for being super vigilant and aware. Like, this doesn't, and again, going back to that gut feeling, this doesn't sound right. And so that's a big part of it. I think more so because you're always going to be chasing after the cyber criminals, chasing after the tech. So a lot of it is going to be just like in the streets, like having that situational awareness. It's the same thing online as it is on the street, being vigilant, making sure that you do have security in place, but also just trusting your gut and knowing if it's not right, then it probably isn't.
So during the holidays, right now is probably our biggest like time that people are getting hit with fraudulent text messages, emails, messengers. What is, because you mentioned a scam app. So what are some of the things that people can, do or download onto their phone, their computer? You mentioned virus scans. What are some of the apps, and what are some of the go-to, like the legit, because now those could be even fraudulent to where you download apps, that's a fake protection app, and it's really not.
Yeah. So I would say always, go to a trusted company that's been around for a long time. So like Norton has been around for a long time. Kaspersky is another one that's been around for a long time. Different, like Microsoft operating system tends to be a lot more vulnerable than the Apple operating system.
Really?
But, yeah.
Okay.
So because Microsoft, not to get too dorky techie, but it's more like open source type situation than Apple is. So it's easier to get in. And so that's why Microsoft, SQL, SQL is one of the most highly hacked corporate, like business applications. So, because it's just easier to get into. So, but that doesn't mean if you have an Apple that you shouldn't have security protocols, because they are still technically hackable. So
does that hold true with like the cell phones too?
Yeah.
Like Apple, like your phones and your computers and your tablets and stuff like that are more secure in a sense than...
Technically, I think
PC?
Apple has more sophisticated built-in security than, say, the Microsoft or Android platforms do. So, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have that added layer. So if you have in your computer, have your antivirus software, have your firewall, have your email filtering. If you have kids, then parental controls, like what can they access online. And you've got to always you got to make sure that you keep your software updated, because again, the cyber criminals are always updating their tactics. So the companies who create the technology have to keep up with the cyber criminals too. So they're saying, okay, well now we have to, and that was what the big, I think it was in July, the big crowd strike that happened. It was CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity company, and so they updated a software that literally all of airlines, like Delta Airlines and all sorts, like companies across the globe use. And it was a bad update that they were trying to keep the software updated, and it shut everything down to the tune of, I don't know how many billions of dollars.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I had friends that were traveling abroad, and they got stuck because they were like, oh, they texted me at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like, there's a cyber attack and we're stuck in Amsterdam. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So they're like, we can't get on any planes. Everything is completely shut down. Turned out to be not a cyber attack, but just a faulty software update, which now the company had to really pay for. But
it's and I think about that kind of stuff. You think about the cybersecurity. You think about these, people, fake stuff. Then you think about like your airplanes. Mm-hmm. Think about your military. You think about your, all these different countries that have, nuclear weapons.
It's scary.
Who's to say that somebody couldn't hack into that and go, there you go?
Yeah.
Could it happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Now we feel so safe. Well, it's that movie that came out, the Julia Roberts movie.
Yeah, that was wild.
But it is, and that to me, as someone who works in cybersecurity, it was kind of eerie to know how actually possible that is.
And and it's very possible. Mm-hmm. Like the Tesla cars.
Yeah.
Somebody could hack right into that, and take control over it.
They're all white. Just don't get a white Tesla.
Nice. It's scary because there's no way to prevent it.
No.
And is there any trigger words like you type in that like immediately you trigger the cyber criminals to come at you?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
hey,
they're pretty proactive. Like they're coming after you. So it's the same thing with criminals on the street. Like they're looking to commit a crime. You could, like, you're putting yourself in that situation if you get, say, that email and you click on the link. But they sent you the email. They're looking to cause trouble. So you're just the, accidental victim that fell prey.
Gosh, and there's no way. This is just the world that we live in, mm-hmm. and there's no way to combat that other than
vigilance. Yeah.
Just be aware and not be so
trusting.
I guess, and it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Like you can't trust anybody these days, and especially online. And because I sell stuff on Marketplace. If somebody's interested in something, like I do a full background check on who they are, especially if they're coming to my home, if I'm selling like a bigger piece of furniture. If it's something small and I can meet them at like Trader Joe's parking lot, like typically no big deal. But if they're having to come to my home to get like maybe a dryer I'm selling or a bigger piece of furniture, then I'm like full on, who are they? Do I have mutual friends? If I do, then I reach out to that mutual friend and check them out. So, because now they know where I live. And I have had people that are, and this is the thing, like I'll have people like, oh, I'll buy it right now. I'll have my husband come pick it up. That's a ding, ding, ding scam. And then I'll go start doing this background. They just set up their profile like a day ago.
Right.
They have no other, nothing on Marketplace. And if they're like, we'll come right now, then they're up to something.
Or want to send you money.
Yeah, well, or they'll say, I'll just go ahead and Venmo you. And that's the, what you were talking about, the Venmo scan. So you give them the Venmo and then they send you money. And then they say, something, this was my business account and I need to do XYZ to clear the funds. Can you send, the $250 so I can do this? But then I'll reimburse you. And
then people do that. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Now, are you protected? Venmo is a very widely used, platform for getting paid. Is there other than the obvious, what we just talked about, is there any other way to scam or attack the Venmo side?
Well, I would say if you're Venmo or PayPal, because PayPal owns Venmo, set it up so get buyer protection. So I actually had this happen to me. I was, it was last year for my birthday, and I wanted to go. They were, I think Tooth and Nail was doing a roller skating thing, and I thought, this would be fun for my birthday. But they sold out, and so someone was on the Tooth and Nail Facebook event page. I have 2 extra tickets, and I thought, great. So I reached out to the person. And she said, I've got 2 extra tickets, $50, perfect. I'm like, can you show me that you have the tickets? And she sent me a picture, looked like she legitimately had the tickets. I sent her the $50. And about 5 minutes later, she emailed me, she's like, or texted me, she's like, hey, your money's not going through. Venmo is saying there's a hold on it, so they're going to refund you. And that was when I was like, and she's like, can you PayPal or Zelle me? And I thought, no. So I reached out to Venmo and they said, yeah, no, that money went through and they've already cleared it to their account. So when I reached back out to her, she then just disappeared.
Oh, and
Venmo would not give me my money back. They're like, sorry, because you didn't have buyer protection. So I was, out $50.
So buyer protection is an app or is it an additional service?
It's built into Venmo. So when you'll have to go into Venmo and look at your settings or just call Venmo, but you can set it up so it's more of like a business transaction as opposed to a personal transaction. So you get buyer protection. And same thing with PayPal. So PayPal, it's there when you make a purchase. It'll say friends and family or product and services. So pick product and services. The person who you're buying from is going to get hit with a small fee, but then just say like, look, I'll cover the fee. But I'd rather have that protection of if I don't receive the product or I don't receive the service, then I'll get my money back.
Is one method better at using Zelle, Facebook, or Venmo, PayPal? I mean, I think there's something called a Cash App.
Yeah, I've never used Cash App. I like Zelle just because it's instant from bank account to bank account, and there's no fees, so you don't have to go through the layers of how PayPal and Venmo is, where there's transfer fees, and so when you transfer it from your Venmo or PayPal account into your bank account, then there are fees for that. With Zelle, there aren't any fees. So,
is it safer that way on the Zelle because it is account to account, and you can see and it happens instantly?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, and it really depends upon the security protocols of your bank. Again, so it's like if your bank, because anything can be hacked. So if a bank account gets hacked or a banking institution gets hacked, then that transaction could be intercepted. So, but it can be intercepted on PayPal or on Venmo. But so I like Zelle because it's a lot more instant, and it's an instant transfer straight from your bank account. There's no there's extra layers removed from bank account to Venmo to bank account. So personally, I prefer that, and there's not any fees.
So Kelly, what are some of the other things that people should be aware of during the holiday season?
Oh, there's a lot.
Well, let me rephrase that. Yeah. I meant like in the form of security and protection.
I would just say be vigilant. Online, just it's kind of hard when you go into a store and you're checking out and you're tapping or swiping your card to go to the cashier. Oh, what security protocols do you have? They'll probably be like, what?
Right? I have no idea.
I don't know. I'm a temporary seasonal worker. Like, go get the manager. So I would say, have fraud protection on your card because you're going to be using it a lot this season. So definitely set that up, and set it up also with the credit reporting agencies. So with Equifax, what are the other ones? TransUnion and Experian. So make sure you have fraud detection set up there so it doesn't impact your credit. So, and just, set it up with your bank too. If I bank with Wells Fargo, and if there is a suspicious transaction, they immediately text me, they call me, and they will stalk me until they get me on the phone and ask if this was my transaction.
Which is good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. So you want to have, I would say, proactively just have fraud detection set up on your credit cards and your bank accounts and with the credit reporting agencies. So that would be kind of a big step one. So because even if, say, Walmart's entire system is hacked and all those credit cards are taken and somebody tries to use them, you already have some protection in place against them using it.
So wild.
Yeah.
It's just such a wild
world.
World.
Yeah.
Because, you got these, electronic little cards that, are supposed to be secure because you have that little 3-digit code that you put in or your password.
Yeah.
But it's almost obsolete. It's like, it doesn't matter. Because can they still do that wand? Is that wand thing still a thing to where they get all your cards out of your purse or your wallet?
Unless you have like an they have like RFID wallets. So in purses where it's almost like aluminum foil, where if they're trying to like scan around, then they can't scan your card. So
crazy.
Yeah.
So Kelly, what do you do for businesses? So you help them navigate through this cyber world of being protected, right?
Well, mainly I work with cybersecurity companies to help them educate their audiences. So and again, this is like more on the corporate side, not as much on the consumer side, but it's really like, what do businesses need to know? And businesses, their big thing is ransomware. So it used to be on the consumer side, ransomware is what we used to call the Nigerian prince scam, where you would get that email. This was like ages ago, where, oh, I'm a Nigerian prince and I've been kidnapped, and and it was always like some random amount, like, oh, send me $1,137 and a check to this PO box. Well, now they're getting a lot more sophisticated, and they're only going after corporations, and the biggest one as of as last year was the MGM hack, which was a ransomware attack where they pretty much took all of the data that was stored in MGM's systems and held it for ransom. MGM ended up paying about $100 million, and they paid the cyber criminals, so they paid the ransom to get the data back and get the encryption keys back. But then you don't even know, like, okay, did they decrypt it? Like, what did they do? Is this going to be? So that's why, when the corporate side is like backup after backup after backup, and get layers of backup, because if you run backups and then the first backup is corrupt, then the second one could be corrupt. So it's like you have to kind of have all these like little data centers of your data. So, but going back to something that's more, so that's what I do, is like, how do you prevent that type of thing happening with ransomware? And it's usually a big thing is insider threats that we say is the internal people, your employees, your vendors that have access to your systems. They're the ones that could make that click, that because they don't have the awareness or the training, and the next thing you know, you have a virus running through your system and all of your data is being taken. So.
In the case of the MGM, what was there any resolution, or is it just they just paid the money and went on their way?
Yeah, so
really?
They paid the money, and now rather than sending the old school check, now they do everything. The criminals do everything through like Bitcoin, through cryptocurrency. So because it's not as traceable. So, but you can see, especially with MGM, because it's a public company and there's a lot more transparency that's required. It's like, okay, well, we saw that you just transferred $50 million in crypto to, these people. So what the heck? And it's not just that you're paying the cyber criminals the ransom to get your data back. It's the shutdown of operations. So that is an enormous cost. And I think the total cost of that one breach was, I think the total to MGM was about $100 million.
Wow, and then they still had to pay.
Yeah, and they still paid the
Millions
criminals.
of
Yeah. And then the funny thing is you can't trust anybody. There was two hacker groups they kind of partnered to do this. They got the money, and then one turned on the other and went to the media and said, "Oh my gosh, these criminals scammed me." And I'm like, "What, are you dumb?"
Did they ever find out who it was, where it came from?
Because they usually these ransomware groups, they're kind of known in the cybersecurity circles, and sometimes they want to let it know, like, oh, we were the ones behind it, ha ha ha. So,
and obviously they didn't get the money back because they're overseas. It's just like, all right, don't do it again.
Not really, don't do it again, but because they will do it again, they'll definitely try. But it's like, okay, now then MGM, I'm sure, is like, okay, how do we not let it happen again? Because the cyber criminals are going to commit crimes again.
And you're talking MGM casinos, hotels. I mean,
the whole.
And I mean, they should be on the top level of security, just in their own, their own operation.
Yep. But it was an insider that, unfortunately,
opened up an email that then what do you call that thing where it goes worms or Trojan horse or whatever? Yeah. And it just went throughout the system quickly, and there's no way to stop it. No virus protection will stop that. No, nothing.
Not unless you have, systems in place. But yeah, so that's why when we talk about things like zero trust, so in cybersecurity there's the boundaries and boundaryless. So zero trust means basically trust no one. Like, no one should be trusted, so only people should have limited access. So if you are a company and everybody in your company has access to everything, your accounting, your all this other stuff, so say your tech support person or maybe just your frontline admin has access to your entire accounting system, and they click on something, then it goes through your entire company. So with zero trust, it means, okay, the front admin person only has access to this little set of data and nothing else. So.
And there's like I said, there's nothing. I mean, it's just one of those things of the world that we live in, and you just got to keep going.
Yep.
And keep trying to keep protection and being a little bit less trusting.
Yep.
I guess, which is a sad thing to say, because we do live in that time that we want to trust. I want to trust you, and it's like
you can't trust me as far as you can throw me,
right? No. And it's sad.
But it's true. But like I said, it's also same thing with physical defense. If the spidey senses are up and the hairs on your back are prickling, you sense something is wrong, then something's wrong. And it's the same thing in cybersecurity. If you get a text that doesn't seem right, if you get an email that doesn't seem right, like I got an email yesterday and I took screenshots and I got rid of it, but I took screenshots so I can show, like, this is an example of saying, hey, we paid your invoice. And I'm thinking, oh great, I got money. But wait, I know I don't have money because I don't even know these people and I never even invoice them. But they're thinking, they're playing on a certain vulnerability of like, oh my gosh, they said maybe it's, I mean, you never know, but if they end up spoofing, say, one of my clients, and it looks like it's from my client, then I'll say, well, your invoice wasn't due for another 2 weeks. You're going to pay me early? That's really nice. And usually like, oh no, but because my clients are in cybersecurity, they typically, if they got hacked, they would let everybody know. Because even cybersecurity companies can get hacked just because they're always, again, playing catch up with the criminals who are, and that's why, a lot of criminals, and I actually worked with one former black hat hacker, which is like the bad guy, who served time in prison, came out, became a white hat hacker and started working for companies and doing and doing good, and saying, because he knows now how the hackers work. So there are like reformed hackers that they
there's reformed hackers. Now they're a good hacker.
Right. And it's true. And so they give back by helping companies, and like they know what the bad guys are up to. So they work for companies, they help them out in determining like what are the hackers up to these days, how do we stay ahead of them. This one guy talks to kids about it, and he's definitely turned a corner, but he's like, yeah, when you spend 2 years in prison and eating that food and dealing with that, you never want to go back. And I was like, well, glad you weren't one of those recidivism numbers. But yeah, and so he actually worked at a cybersecurity company I worked with, and he is now kind of considered an influencer because he really does help a lot of other companies stay safe. So they can turn the corner.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and sharing this this information, because I mean, this time of year, everybody is so giving, and people are out there. They're just, the attackers are lurking. They're lurking in the dark.
Like this is the prime season, and they know people are shopping more online. And Cyber Monday, I mean, they especially were active then. And I haven't gotten any. I've gotten the numbers of how much sales, but I haven't seen any cybersecurity numbers yet. They usually will come out in January after the season's over. But yeah, I mean, like I said, over half the retailers are concerned. I think last year there was an average per person in the United States of, and it doesn't sound like much, but I think it was like $256 per holiday season loss per person. So if you add that up,
yeah, quite a bit.
It's quite a bit. So, but then it's like, okay, how did somebody take that 256? And it's such a low amount that you don't really think much of it, and it could have been siphoned like a few dollars here, a few dollars there, but the total amount lost per consumer was $256. So, and it adds up per consumer,
right?
Yeah.
You gotta just check your statements and make sure that everything is what it is, what you spent.
Yeah, and click on nothing. If you, like I said, if you get a text, with the United States Postal Service will not send you a text asking for your address. They just will not do it.
Right?
They're not going to do it. And you get Amazon, like, oh, Amazon, we need you to update your credit card information, and those are the ones that are like really getting your information. And my sister did this, and I was like, how do you do that? I work in cybersecurity. But she's like, well, I just wanted to, it seemed legit, and said update. And then when she clicked on it, they said, oh, you need to call us. So she called them, and she was about to give them her credit card number, and she's just got like, okay, this doesn't seem right, because the guy was like, I don't know, in India, Bangladesh, whatever. And she hung up and called me, and she's like, oh my God, what do I do? I was like, well, I would call your credit card companies right now and and let them know that this is something that's potential. And if you go to your bank, get a new debit card, if you want to have new credit cards issued, change all your passwords to all of your online banking and online credit card stuff. So yeah, I mean, people fall for it because they think it's legit, but Amazon is not going to text you either and ask you for your credit card information.
Awesome.
So.
Well, Kelly, again, thanks for coming on and sharing this information during this season here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, people can stay protected and not get scammed and hacked and taken money, and kind of reduce that $266 down from last year down to zero. But we appreciate you coming on and giving us great information here on our show.
Thank you.
So you have a happy holiday season, and be vigilant yourself out there.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, guys. Hey, make sure you guys stay aware of what's happening with your cybersecurity, because like Kelly said, don't click on nothing. That is the word of the day. Don't click on nothing. But as always, guys, we can't do this without you and our sponsors. We'd like to thank Esquire Wine Travelers Hideaway, Visit Atascadero, 805 Customs, Ron Mullins with Remax, North County Junk Removal, The Trailer Barn, Story Termite Pest Control, Borhone Auto Center, Kennedy Club Fitness, Airflow Filter Services, Suprema Meat Market, and MGP Coatings. Thanks again. Have a happy holiday season.
Hi, this is Dave Story, small game hunter with Story Termite and Pest. We're a full-service termite and pest control company. From rodents to termites, we can take care of all your pest control needs. Call today. We can tailor a pest control program that will meet your needs and budget. Contact us at 805-460-0650 or at storytermite.com. Remember, we don't have customers, we have friends.
Hi, it's Alex with Suprema Meat Market. We are a Mexican meat market with a taqueria. Come enjoy our high-quality cuts and meats. We offer choice and prime Harris Ranch beef, as well as chicken, seafood, and pork items. In the taqueria, all of our tacos come with handmade tortillas. We also offer specialty items like chilaquiles and chile rellenos. Come enjoy Taco Tuesday with Suprema. We offer our tacos at $1.99 each. Suprema Meat Market is located at 8950 Montecito Avenue in Atascadero.
Are you tired of looking at that worn-out concrete garage floor, patio, or porch? Look no further than MGP Coatings, where customer service reigns supreme. Our team goes above and beyond to ensure your satisfaction every step of the way. Before we even start coating, we meticulously repair your concrete, ensuring a flawless finish that lasts. And here's the best part. Our Pentec coatings are 4 times stronger than epoxy, so they won't chip or peel, making maintenance a breeze. Plus, they come with a limited lifetime warranty. Call us today at 805-952-5301 or check out our Facebook and Instagram and experience the MGP coating difference. Don't wait. Transform your garage, patio, porch, or driveway and become a part of the MGP coating family.
What's up, North County? This is Teresa Branch with Airflow Filter Service. We are a family-owned business right here in the North County. We have air filters, oils and lubricants, and hydraulic hoses. We provide services that include air filter cleaning, DPF cleaning, and waste oil collection. Come check us out at 1140 Ramada Drive, and we can help you with all your automotive and industrial vehicle needs.
Hi, this is Omid
and Deanna
at North County Junk Removal. We are a business known for helping our neighbors and our community.
Let us help you save money and get rid of any unwanted items.
And rest assured that our professional team adheres to global standards of safety and recycling. We are fully licensed and insured for your peace of mind.
We are locally owned and operated, and we look forward to helping you with all your junk removal needs.
Please call us at 805-769-6966.
Atascadero isn't your standard getaway. We're unique, just like you. We're growing, transforming, and figuring it out as we go. We're a town filled with innovators, artists, makers, and game changers. We're a little bit country, a little bit funky, and always authentic. We're here for your good times, your slow times, and your changing times. We're all in Atascadero. Come see for yourself. Learn more at visitatascadero.com.
Hi, welcome to Kennedy Club Fitness, where we have something for everyone. We have weights, cardio, group exercise classes, racquetball, basketball, swimming, and pickleball coming soon. Here at Kennedy, we're committed to health, wellness, and community. Stop by any of our 4 locations: Paso Robles, Atascadero, San Luis Obispo, and Arroyo Grande, or check out our website at kennedyclubs.com.